There we go. I think it's recording now, right? All right. So, hello, and welcome to the round table. What is it? 2, 3, 4?
This is the third one.
The third round table. Exactly. So, today we're going to be touching on finances. All right, what exactly related to finances would we be touching on, Lil B?
So we're going to touch a little bit on everything. Not everything, but a good overview of the importance of finances, how to think about finances, as well as what steps you need to take in order to hit the ultimate goal, which I think we are all wanting and hopefully striving for, which is that financial freedom, right? That ability to not have to worry about our paycheck, and if it dries up, that we are up a dry creek without a paddle. Which I guess it's not a bad thing if it's dry, right? Just get out and walk.
Well, up a dry creek without a paddle. All right. So exactly. So we're basically focusing on, what do you do if you just have one income stream, which I would say most people fall under. I'm just gonna speculate and say most of us watching right now are in the same boat. You just have one income stream and or one income. And if you lose your job, they fire you, the economy goes bad, the company goes under, whatever, another pandemic, COVID 2.0, whatever it may be, what are you going to do? Right. So we're going to be focusing on that. One income is a broken sword. Why do you think it might be a broken sword, B?
So we use this analogy as in just a metaphor, right? Something to kind of get your mind around it. So imagine going into battle, which we do every day, just living our lives, and your sword breaks as you're in the midst of battle. Odds are you're going to be in trouble. You're going to have a bad time.
So technically, you'll have a dagger, not a sword.
That just means the enemy is that much closer to killing you. I mean, that's but yeah. So the sword analogy is basically just trying to help people understand that it's a battle. It's the finances is like everything else in the order of pillars and how we view things, which is as men we are constantly in struggle, constantly in battle. And if you're relying on just one income source, you're in danger, right? You never know when that sword is going to break, when you're going to lose your job, when a natural disaster happens, when an emergency comes up. It's not even if, it's when. I'm sure we've all experienced car breaks down, health issue comes up. Nobody saw the COVID nonsense happening and people got left with no income for a while, struggling hard. So yeah, it's a dangerous move to only stick to one. We also want to talk about, how to build multiple income streams, not just kind of leave it a vague, just get another job. Gee, thanks. If it was that easy, I would have done it by now. But we also want to dive in a little deeper. All right. So the discipline aspect behind it, with budgeting, with building up that emergency fund. I like to think of the emergency fund as a shield. Right. So if you have a sword to constantly fight with, your emergency fund is a shield to defend against the blows that life is going to throw at you. So I think you had some questions, but I'm going to throw one out to you. So if you or anybody watching right here
talking to me,
if you lost your job tomorrow, how many days or weeks, maybe months, how long do you think you could survive before that panic starts to set in?
This is a question for...
It's for you in general, but for anybody that's watching, to marinate on and meditate on this.
Okay. For me personally?
Yeah.
Well, in my particular situation, I have what I've come to call a tripod income. So I'm living on a tripod. So I basically the I basically have three sources of income. Partial sources of income, not whole full-time incomes. Um, but I do trade time for money. So if one of those sources fall, I'll be okay. I won't be super comfortable, but I could pay the bills for the month. My family will be taken care of with the bare minimum while I see if I can find another leg for the tripod. So that's that's my particular case, and that's why I think it's so important to have a side hustle or a project or a business that you're starting up on the side or something, um, or even like a marriage. Now, I don't know what you would think of this, Little B. Would you consider this another source of income if it were a two-income household? Is that like multiple income streams, or would it just be like one income stream per person? How would you view that?
I would say dual income household is two incomes, but you're obviously with marriage, you are one person, right? You are united. So the household has two incomes coming in, hitting all the same demands. So the same rent, the same groceries, utilities, et cetera, et cetera. But even in that case, most people, the reason they have two incomes is because they have to have them, right? I would imagine the majority of people aren't in that position to where they can say, okay, well, I will take care of all the financial responsibility and you take care of the household responsibility, and together we have a better union. That used to be the case a while back, but nowadays with inflation, with just how incomes have stagnated off, dual income seems almost a necessity nowadays, unfortunately.
Exactly. Now, in your particular case, what would you, how would you feel, or what would you do if you lost your job tomorrow?
So I am a paranoid schizophrenic. And I am constantly thinking about scenarios and how to prepare to overcome them. So that's something that I've thought about for a long time. Um, I have I have passive income, as you know, we've talked about this. But my passive income isn't enough to pay all my bills. Um, so while I'm making decent money now, I've also been focusing for a while on the shield aspect, the saving aspect. So I have a decent amount of money in my savings, so that in the event I were to lose my job, I could still make ends meet for a short period of time before I really have that stress kicking in. Um, but that's kind of what we're here to talk about, right? To alleviate that stress so that you can willingly step away from your job if it's something that you don't want to do anymore. And I would imagine most people, if they had the option, right, you'd want to have that financial independence.
Exactly. And that's the whole point of this, right? The whole point is to build resilience, not fragility. All right. So we gotta be resilient in hard times, which we all face. I want to say it's inevitable. I really don't know of anybody who's never had to go through this before. I'm pretty sure everybody's had one at one point or another in their life have had to go through anxiety and stress of not knowing where they're going to get the next paycheck from because they lost their job for whatever reason. Right now, can you think in your case? Can you think of a time in your life where you had that job insecurity where you lost a job or you were in between jobs?
Yeah. I mean, I've had multiple situations. Um, I've had situations before where I've lost my job and my significant other's income. We had to make it work however we could, stretch it out. Um, Typically, when people do lose their job, they try to find something quickly, like whatever is available out there. I am no different. I've had my share of day labor jobs and stuff. I've also ran my own company, and anybody who's ever owned a business and ran a company, they know money isn't good all the time, right? Jobs dry up. For whatever reason, people cancel, and now the money that you originally were hoping for have dried up. So, I mean, I've had points in my business where, like I said, people canceled. I'm not able to find new clients, and it turns into a very stressful situation where you have to start nickel and diming everything and start figuring out, I don't really need this right now, or we need to rely on credit cards, and that just gets people in debt. So, like, if you lose your job, then you're at ground level, right? You got nothing. And then you get in debt, and now you're getting into a hole. So
It's bad.
most people have experienced and are currently experience high debt because they rely on a credit card, and then the credit card has ridiculous interest rates, and now you're in this perpetual loop that I hope people can get out of, or never have to deal with.
Exactly. Would you say the system is rigged for you to just kind of flop into that hole?
Yes. At least here in the US, I can't speak for outside of the US. I don't know if the credit card companies are the same, but at least here in the US, I mean, it's so easy to get a credit card. When you get a credit card, anybody who's gotten a credit card here in the US, your first credit card, you're like, okay, cool, I got a $1,000 limit. And we're never taught how to properly use a credit card. So we go and boom, rack up $1,000. And then we have to try to figure out how to spend it, or how to pay it back rather. Can't pay it all back. Now you've got a principal and you're paying off interest, and it just slowly starts snowballing out. And worst of all, which is the reason I say that it's it's stacked against you in a certain way, is the financial illiteracy that we have. And then you start getting bombarded by other credit card offers. So you literally start getting 2, 3, 4 different credit card offers, or the credit card company itself. You pay it off. You have decent credit history, right? You're paying it off every month, and they, out of nowhere, which is good up to a point, they go, okay, well, you had $1,000 limit. Now you have a $5,000 limit. And so, again, without having that literacy, you go, okay, cool. Like, I can spend so much more money, not realizing, yeah, but you can't pay that money. So I don't know if you know this. Here in the US now, you can buy food, like you can order food to get delivered to you and pay it off in installments. So, I mean, if you can't afford a Chipotle burrito without going into debt, I would highly advise not getting the burrito. But
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you would think it's common sense, but the common sense is the least common of the senses.
yeah,
But
I heard common sense is pretty much a superpower nowadays. So
it's just exactly. Now, just in case, if there's a youngling somewhere out there listening, just in case, how would you define financial literacy? What is financial literacy?
So financial literacy is actually described simply, it's understanding what money is, how to use it responsibly, and to use it in your favor, and to basically have a basic understanding of money. Right? Most people have no idea how money is created, how it's circulated, how the banking system works, interest rates, compounding interest, and that's not even touching on the more complex points of, what are ETFs, what are stocks, what are bonds, and then you get into the much geekier, which I personally love.
Huge.
You got stuff like cryptocurrencies.
Nerd.
Yeah. If you wanna really get confused about money without understanding the basics, go ahead and start trying to understand how a cryptocurrency works. Have fun with that.
Ridiculous. But yeah, well, you're a huge nerd. But all right. So it is important to be financial literate. Now, does a person have to be a financial guru, or can they just know like the basics and get by with that?
It depends on the stage in life that you're at, I would say. If you are a younger person today, by younger I mean probably 18 or younger, um, it's the basics you should know is how money works, where it comes from, how it's generated, and then understand things like compounding interest and basic budgeting, right? But budgeting is one of those things that is not taught to most people. But the discipline of budgeting, I mean, imagine income as a stream of water coming in, and a bucket would be your budget. So you have a specific amount of holes that it's going to be leaking out at a certain rate. Most people have no idea, and they just drill tons of holes. They want to go out and party, and they want to buy new shoes and buy the latest phone, and they want to do all this, and then they wonder why they have no money at the end of their check. Actually, I took out some books specifically for that. Highly recommend reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which is a very good book that helps the average person understand how to use money wisely, how to use it in a way that makes you money, so that you're not, as Robert Kiyosaki says, you're not stuck in the rat race. And again, I think the system is set up to purposefully keep people in the rat race, because if you're ignorant, you're going to get in debt, and basically you become a slave to the banking system and makes them more money.
Exactly. Good. Well put. So, and that's the whole idea of these type of videos. Of course, in future videos, we'll be talking about health and working out and leadership, and we're going to talk about everything. But from time to time, we will be diving into financial issues. Today, we're basically focusing on the one income stream trap. All right. How not to just conform with your job, and that's it. I think it was, I don't think, I know it was Hormozy. If nobody knows who Alex Hormozy is, you're living under a rock. But Alex Hormozy says the problem isn't that you have a 9 to 5. The problem is that you don't have a 5 to 9. I'll repeat that one more time. The problem isn't that you have, I may be butchering the phrase a little bit, but the problem isn't that you're 9 to 5. The problem is that you don't have a 5 to 9. So a lot of you, even if you have a job, you're just too comfortable thinking you're going to have that job forever and it's completely secure. You have 4 hours, roughly, depending on your job, 4 or 5 hours after your shift to work on something else, work on a side hustle, work on a backup plan B, work on savings, work on a budget, work on something, a business. Yeah, it's practically part-time hours where you can solely focus on building your dream instead of building somebody else's dream. Right? So now there are dangers and solutions. Let's see if we can get into that here real quick. We have many dangers, but here are just a few. One, no shield against crisis. So kind of bringing it back to your shield analogy. savings and investments, having that shield alongside your sword, and such as layoffs, health issues, automation, so on and so forth. Now you touched on that shield a little bit. Can you further elaborate what that shield would consist of?
So in the order of pillars, which if you're not a member of the Order of Pillars, by all means, go to the link. If you're watching this video on any of the other platforms, it should be somewhere in the comments or
Here or here. I don't know. Somewhere.
there'll be a link to the Order of Pillars. And in this Order of Pillars, again, if you're new and you don't know anything about the Order of Pillars, the Order of Pillars is a system that we put together in the key areas that we believe if men focus on and continuously challenge themselves, that they will develop to an all-around better man over time. Mind you, of course, it's a challenge, right? Just so you know, a great saying that I heard, and anybody who watches these regularly, you're going to notice I love sayings. The only people who have no stress and no challenges in life are 6 feet under. Everybody else has struggles, has challenges. So you got to choose where you want to struggle. So by all means, make the best choice. So first and foremost, your savings is your shield, right? Start off with something simple, right? Don't set this huge expectation of, oh, well, let me save $10,000. Small wins will add up to a much bigger win. If you're watching this and you don't have $100, it sounds like you probably shouldn't be watching this. Maybe you should go and get a side gig or something. But start with $100, right? That's one of the challenges in the community. Start with $100, however you save it, be it cutting that subscription to a Netflix. Maybe you don't go out to eat for a first month or so, however long it takes you. Maybe you go and do a little side gig for somebody, or you do some yard work, whatever you need to do, save that $100. Then you slowly start building up. Now, the big goal that you should be striving.
I was just about to say, you guys need to be striving.
Striving for, guys. The goal you should be striving for is 3 to 6 months worth of your living expenses. Now, that is a huge amount of money for a lot of people, especially if you don't even have $100, right? So you figure out whatever that is. Whatever your money comes out just to keep you alive every month, your rent, your food, your little bit of entertainment, your utilities, if you have a car note, things like that. That's your monthly expenses. Save at least 3 months to start with. If you don't have that, you shouldn't be having fun, right? The only fun you should be having is your mentality change on, reading a book and getting back to work. That is the biggest peace of mind that I think most people don't experience. If you have at least 3 months worth of living expenses and something happens, you know that you have a good period of time, 3 months, right? Before you start feeling that pain of, okay, I don't know how I'm going to pay rent. That also gives you eventually the mindset to say, I can start taking risks to actually build my dream, right? We all have something that we really, really are passionate about. Quick side note, some of these people in the community, I know one gentleman, he really enjoys skateboarding. His little side gig is he teaches youth how to skateboard, and he makes a little bit of money off that. He finds it very rewarding. I have another gentleman who he does lawn care work outside of work. Like you said, outside of that 9 to 5, he sets up jobs. Maybe he just works on the weekends or whatever else, but he goes and he cuts grass, does something else. I've known people to quit their job after doing pastry work. They like making cakes, And so she eventually quit her job because she was making so much money just doing what she loved, of baking cakes. So the ability out there is literally endless. But you have to change the mindset first. And again, that brings back to, the second area here, living in fear, not strength. If you know you don't have enough money saved, and any little hiccup in life, your car breaks down, you lose your job, you break your leg or something, heaven forbid, that fear is going to impact your life. It's going to impact your mentality. It's going to make you irritable. It's going to affect your relationship with your significant other, your children, hell, even your boss, which could only cascade further. So, and number three, that weak legacy building. You can't build a legacy if you don't have that peace of mind and starting to at least have 3 to 6 months of living expenses.
Or at least begin working towards having
Yes.
those 3 to 6 months, and then, like it says there, it leaves your family exposed. So it's not just you. And a lot of you have family. A lot of you have a wife or children. So it's not just about improving yourself and your finances, but you're protecting them. That's one of the biggest duties of a man, is to protect their family, not just physically, but financially, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, but in this instance, financially. So I would probably say that I would, yeah, like you stated very clearly. First thing is change what's up here, change your mentality. And a lot of you heard that you have to save up 3 months and worth of living expenses, and I guarantee more than one of you said that's impossible. You're already starting off on the wrong foot. That's what you have to start. You can't say that's impossible. That's I can't do that. I won't ever be able to do that. Change that mentality. Figure out how to do it. You can. Anybody can. But it's not going to take. It's not going to take you a week to do it. It's going to take some time and sacrifices. Disclaimer. Imagine there's like a disclaimer on the bottom of the screen. You're going to be uncomfortable. You have to be uncomfortable. If you can't, it's not realistic. You can't expect to go out, party, buy your alcohol all the time, and buy your Xbox or PlayStation games periodically, buy on Amazon and XYZ, and still save money those 3 months and be where you want to be. It's not realistic. It's not realistic. You got to be uncomfortable. You're going to be bored sometimes, and you shouldn't be bored. Your obsession should start with your finances. All right. So that's what you have to focus on. Don't be focusing about partying. I have a tattoo on my chest somewhere, which I'm not going to show you, perverts. But
And today.
Oh, Billy. It says, cry now. Sorry, smile now. I'm reversing it all. Smile now, cry later. That's probably the worst thing I could have thought at the moment. All right, because I partied, I had fun, and now I'm crying because I spent all those years just wasted away and having fun, partying, and all I have now are just like memories, partially, because a lot of the time I don't even remember half the time. So,
Shows you had a good time.
it was a great time. I don't remember anything, but I would actually inverse it. I would say, cry now. Yes, I know it sounds horrible. Cry now, sacrifice now, and you're going to be smiling later. Because while your friends and possibly family members are still struggling, criticizing you, why you're so boring, why don't you ever go out, why don't you ever buy anything, why don't you ever do this, why don't you ever do that, all you do is read, all you do is save. You're going to see you're going to have a great life later on while they're still struggling. Right? But it all starts up here, the mindset. Right? Now, there are a few solutions to this. There are many solutions. Actually, I just posted 3 here, but there are many solutions. The first one, skill monetization. For example, freelance, teaching, a side hustle. I don't know if you have any other examples, B, of some type of way to monetize your skill.
I have a ton of them. So skill is something that you should be looking at what you excel at, or at the very least are just slightly better than somebody else. You got to realize there's people out there that have plenty of money and they just don't have the time. So right now you're trading that time for their money, and you got to find out how you can make their life just a little easier. I made the reference before. Maybe you have a lawnmower and a weed eater in your house. Okay, be that uncomfortable and go and knock on your neighbor's door in your neighborhood, right? Go and knock on everybody's door. We can all have access to a printer. Go and make a quick little flyer. Hey, be so cheap that it's impossible for them to say no. If it takes you 30 minutes for you to mow a lawn, charge them $20, right? Most people will pay. Oh, I would gladly pay somebody $20 to mow my lawn because it's $20. That gives me time to go and watch a YouTube video or a Netflix or whatever. In that meantime, you just made $20 in 30 minutes. That's nothing to scoff at. You can do pressure washing, right? Some of us have a pressure washer. Maybe you can go out and buy a pressure washer. Same deal. Go out and find some business somewhere. Monetize it however you want. Maybe you're really good at math, right? So you go and you start teaching kids on basics of math and help them understand algebra a little bit better, something that you enjoy. As I made an example before, a gentleman here in the community, he enjoys skateboarding. He's been skateboarding for years. So he goes, and as he was in a skate park, he started talking to some of the parents of the kids and basically just offered his service. And now he's got several kids that, once a week, okay, quick, here's a little how to push, how to do an ollie, how to kind of, start working up onto the ramp, all these little things. Maybe you're really interested in, or you're good at rather, fixing a leaky sink. All right, that's a handyman skill. Go and start offering that to people. Go and learn drywall. One of the amazing things that we have that people don't realize, we have access to the internet. You don't know how to drywall or how to fix a drywall? There's plenty of videos on YouTube that you can go and learn. You don't know how to do a certain skill? Go and learn it. Again, it gets back to your mentality, right? You got to change the mentality. Everybody's going to have a challenge. The difference between those who have and those who have not are the ones who can overcome the difficulties and the challenges. So don't think of like, oh, I don't know how to drywall, I can't do it. Okay, just think, I don't know how to drywall. How can I learn how to do drywall? I don't know how to do plumbing. Okay, how can I learn it? You can do, maybe you really enjoy content creation. Maybe you can help us out because we need it. Can't pay you though, so not gonna be beneficial.
We're looking for volunteers.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you just have a bunch of stuff in your garage. Go and sell some stuff. Start a yard sale. Hell, go to yard sales. Who is the guy? I forget his name. Gary. It's on the tip of my tongue. Anyways, he has YouTube videos and he shows you how to go to yard sales. Certain items that you can look for, you could buy it for, $1, $2. Turn around and sell it on eBay. Make $5 for the item. You've literally, you're just flipping things. So that's just one of the very many ways that you can start thinking differently to monetize one of your skills. And just so you know, you don't even have to like it. You might not like any of it. Don't worry about if you like it so much. Worry about getting good at it so that you can eventually start doing the things, the bigger ticket items that you do really enjoy. But first, you have to go through that uncomfortable dislike period.
Exactly. And like you said, we got the internet. I mean, we are living in the easiest time in the history of humanity to learn anything, and all practically free. I mean, the only thing you kind of have to pay for is internet. And a lot of you don't even pay for that. You just mooch off of your neighbor's Wi-Fi.
You're watching right now at the Starbucks.
So I mean, it's so easy. Just like learn something. I actually learned. I don't know if I ever told you, but I learned how to ride a motorcycle on YouTube.
No, you didn't tell me.
Yeah, yeah. When my first motorcycle, I bought it brand new, and I took it out of the dealership, just like pushing it because I was still afraid to ride it. And before that, I spent like 2 weeks before actually going and picking it up, and 2 weeks like every day just YouTubing videos. How I had zero clue how to ride a motorcycle, and that's how I learned the theory. Practice is a little bit different, but the theory, I learned it, and I got on the motorcycle. I knew where the clutch was, the brake, and I knew how to shift. I knew it. I knew it all. But once I did it, the first thing that I did, I crashed into a car. That was like the first thing. I just crashed into a car. It wasn't like a major crash, but yeah, I crashed into the back of a parked car, and the security guard saw me, and I told him, "Yeah, I'm learning how to ride a motorcycle," and he actually, I actually paid him to take me home on my motorcycle. So he was riding my motorcycle, and I was on the back grabbing him, and
You felt so secure.
he took me home. But the theory, I got the theory down, and at least I turned it on and I knew how to start it, but I didn't have the practice, so I didn't know about the torque or anything. But I learned how to ride a motorcycle on YouTube, and you can do absolutely anything. Learn absolutely anything on YouTube. And the cutting grass thing that you mentioned earlier, even if you don't want to like charge, how many people do it for free and then they put it up on YouTube and eventually monetize on YouTube? People, I'm one of them. I don't know why. It's just I find it addictive to like watch people cut grass. It's like, I don't know, I just love it. So, and like me, there are millions of people who just love watching it. So don't even charge them. Just like tell them, hey, I'll cut your grass for free. Record it, and of course with their permission. You have to like make sure that they give you permission to post their lawn and stuff online, but record it and put it up on YouTube, and with a little bit of patience, start monetizing that on YouTube. And bam, you got passive income right there. Well, semi passive income.
That makes me think, be careful what you choose. The motorcycle example is one of those things. I also have a funny story like that. I went and I was trying to help out somebody that I know, and me thinking in this modern age, like, that's not a big deal. He needed his AC looked at. Sure. You have a bad fan. I have a general understanding of electricity. All right, cool. I go and I'm following a YouTube video and stuff. And I think that I discharged this little capacitor thing. And I'm like, okay, I think I'm okay. I don't know. Then I accidentally hit something and a big old spark happened. Could have died. So yeah, just be careful with what you choose.
He said, study it very well.
Yeah.
Now, in this next part here, a possible solution, this is where the geek comes into play. So I'll pass it over to you. Investing and assets. That is try not to get too deep into it. One, because of the time. Two, because we could do an entire 1-hour video on just this little section here. And three, keep in mind that maybe most of the people watching this won't even be able to understand the terminology. So go ahead and tell us, how one of the solutions could be investing in assets.
So again, another book that I whipped out, a good book, How to Invest Between $50 to $5,000. This one's by Nancy Dunham. Good book, kind of goes over a lot of the basics, but it gives you an understanding of how to invest from a very small amount to a little bit of a larger amount. I know some of you are thinking $5,000 is not a little bit of money, but if you consider there's people out there like Elon Musk that have so much money that it would be a waste of time for them to bend over to pick up $100 bill, then yeah, it's a tiny bit of money. But investment in a nutshell is basically putting your money to work. It's how to make your money, instead of you working for your money should be working for you. So this is why that shield is so important. You start saving and you have that little bit of extra. Once you hit a certain milestone, whatever arbitrary number you have for that milestone, maybe you're comfortable at $1,000 of an emergency. Then you start putting away a little bit of into investing, but you don't know where to put it. There's a plethora of places to put it. You could open up a Robinhood account, a Fidelity account, one of these, regular accounts, and then you can look for a broad investment. So like a VOO or something. It's basically a large chunk of companies that you own a very small bit of. And then don't think about it. Just keep putting it in. Most of you have 401ks, which I highly advise. If your company matches any 401k, put money into the limit that they match to. So that's free money that's being left on the table if you're not investing into your 401k. Now, on your personal note, first, I would say invest in yourself. Invest in your knowledge. Again, I love to point it out because I like them. Those books behind me, those were all investments. And those aren't cheap. So it's one of those things that you put a little bit of money in, but now it takes up time that you're not watching TV, you're not out at the club, you're not doing all these things. You're building your mind, your understanding of things. You have the internet, you can find a course. Go and invest a little bit of money into, I don't know, whatever it is. Maybe what was it you were studying? XO?
UX.
UX. I don't even know.
XO.
He's the technical one. But there's so many little courses that you can spend out there. Maybe it's $50, maybe it's $100, but now you're learning some of these other skills that you can monetize. Again, I will mention, huge fan of is cryptocurrencies, right? So you want to put in a little bit of money, try to understand, obviously free online, and then find a certain cryptocurrency that starts paying out staking rewards. It's basically a dividend that the crypto will do. It's high risk, but it's also high reward. I could keep going on for a while, but those are basically your main investments, right? So your stocks, your mind, cryptos, hell, even, if you don't own a lawnmower, save up, go to a pawn shop or something, buy a lawnmower. You can start a little side gig with that. You could even go as far as kind of touching on the skill kind of deal. I've seen where people go and they just have a little stand, right? You could literally just have a table and you buy those little metal bowl looking things and you have chocolate in that. You go and you buy a frozen banana, you dip it in the chocolate, and then you sprinkle some nuts and stuff on that. Now you can start selling something like that. So again, the possibilities are endless. I know on here it says real estate or an online business. The online business is probably the best bet because I know I sure as heck can't afford real estate.
So
yeah. to caveat again, to geek out a little bit, there are these things called REITs. And a REIT is a way of you owning a bit of housing without owning the full amount of the house. I will leave it on to you to dig in deeper to that. So technically, you could get into real estate with just a little bit of money. Online business, I would say, is probably the best. It's the easiest. It's low overhead. So the possibilities are endless. And again, in the order of pillars, we dive into a lot of these. In the finance ones, we will be going into detail cryptos and stocks and a lot of the terminology and trying to get into the understanding of how money is made and its flow and all these nuanced things. We want to increase your financial literacy so that, again, as it says, you are a pillar. You're a pillar in your life and in the life of your family. You're somebody that holds that stress, that tension that comes on to all of us. It's your responsibility as a man to willingly take that on and grow in strength so that you can take on more weight. And remember, you're not alone. There's multiple pillars.
Exactly. No, and yeah, you mentioned a lot of this will be covered in the order of pillars in the community, among many other aspects, many other pillars. But that's another solution. One of probably the first and foremost, most important thing you could do if you don't have $100, the first thing you could do is actually join the order of pillars. For the moment, it's free. At the time of this recording, it's free. It won't always be, but for the moment, it's free. We go over all of this in the order of pillars. There are and still under construction the courses that go over this. We talk about this. We have challenges. We have the roundtable sessions like this, and that's the first thing you actually should do. Which brings me to the third solution: brotherhood and collaboration, networking, partnerships, accountability. That's what we do in the order of pillars. That's the vision. That's the goal. That's what we want. We want a good size community that help each other, of men that know that they're not alone and that can help each other with contacts or ideas, motivation, and who knows, possibly resources if somebody's doing exceptionally well, help fund the lawnmower maybe, but that's the idea. Accountability, somebody who's always pushing you and giving you ideas, and networking, getting to know people, because you never know who they know and how they can help you. Maybe they don't have a job position, but they know of somebody who is hiring, and maybe they're in your area, and that there's your job right there. And maybe that can lead you to greater possibilities. Partnerships, maybe more than one of you in the community have an idea and more or less the same passion or the same idea. We'll partner up. 2 heads are better than 1, except for us.
Together we're barely half.
We struggle, but 2 heads are better than 1. Partner up with somebody or with multiple people, and that's the idea of the community. Now, a task. If you're watching on YouTube, I haven't said it yet, and I should have said it a while ago. Click like, share, and subscribe, obviously, if you haven't subscribed, and because we're going to be dishing out all these interesting talks every single week. And if you haven't formed part of the order of pillars, you're going to find the link somewhere around here, and just click on the link and go straight to the order of pillars and join the community. So on YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, leave the comment on the bottom of the task. That's the task that we're going to be assigning in the community, which is to list 3 possible second incomes you could start in the next 12 months. Right. So just Take 10 minutes. Put your phone down after you finish watching this video. Put your phone down and stop doom scrolling and take 10 minutes. Write it down the old-fashioned way, pen and pencil. Pen and paper, or pencil too, and write down at 3 possible second incomes you could start in the next 12 months. 12 months, people. 12 months. You got 12 months. So plenty of time. All right. And if you don't know what possible side hustles you could do or extra income paths you can take, join the Order of Pillars. That's the idea. We'll help you. We'll give you ideas. We'll put PDFs up there, and we will dig around and we'll get you where you need to be. All right. So share one of those 3 possible income ideas in the community by Sunday. It's Friday, so I highly doubt anybody's going to do it by Sunday. Everybody, but forget about Sunday. But just share it in the community under this video. And if you're on YouTube and you haven't joined yet, join the Order of Pillars and write down ideas in the comments, because you never know. Maybe your simple idea could solve somebody else's life. You have no idea how far your reach could go with a simple comment. Right? And I don't know if you wanted to tag anything on, Lilby.
Well, I again encourage joining the Order of Pillars. Like you said, we will always be available. You can always message out to one of us, message other people in the community. We will put up ideas, random things that we think of or that we come across to the best of our ability. We'll kind of give you a layout of how you can start this. A quick couple freebies we already said, right? You could do lawn work. You can freaking sell frozen hot dogs. Maybe you're really good at making cookies. Go ahead and start selling some cookies or a sandwich to people at your work. Right? You're making their life just a little easier. And that's where you get that monetary exchange from. Their life is easier. You make money, you save it, you invest it, and in the long run, your life becomes a lot easier. I did want to, again, touch on the financial freedom aspect, which is, again, I think what we all want. Now, I'm curious for you, what would you say is financial freedom? Like if you had to give a definition.
You talking to me?
I am.
Financial freedom. What is financial freedom? For me, in my purview of financial freedom would probably be not stressing about work in order to pay things off. In my particular case, if I don't work, I don't make the cheddar. So that is horrible. So financial freedom is being able to say, yeah, let me work a little bit today, or maybe not. Maybe I'll take a week off and it won't affect my life in any way. I can still cover all my bills, my family's taken care of, and I have the freedom to kind of do whatever I want, work an hour a day or work 10 hours a day if I so choose. That's my view of financial freedom.
Yep. I mean, I would define it as when your money is working for you harder than you're working for your money, right? Where you're not forced, basically. You're not forced to trade your hours for dollars. You know, you can wake up in the morning and have a leisure morning and not have to be stressing at, oh man, in 3 hours I got to get to work. I have to quickly do this. I have to do that, and then I have to go and deal with nonsense at work for another 8 hours, only to come home to deal with more nonsense. Some people like to think of it as a specific amount of money. Oh man, I'm not financially free until I have $3 million. That's a very narrow idea of what financial freedom is. All of this we will help you gain through the system in the order of pillars. And yeah, I would say a free man is a dangerous man, because he's not able to be controlled. That financial freedom, for us men, husbands, fathers, leaders, that's really what we strive for. We want to be able to protect and to provide. And I would say there's things higher than that, but financial freedom is what we are striving for and what I believe the system is specifically keeping us away from.
Okay, so let's reach that financial freedom together. You can't. What happens to the wolf if it's all alone? Either starve or be killed by other predators. But in a pack, very dangerous. All right, so yeah, join the Order of Pillars. I think we can wrap it up for today, because I've been needing to go to the bathroom for 45 minutes. So
a little UTI never hurt nobody.
It's all your fault. But so yeah, we'll wrap it up for today. You can find a PDF of all the possible side hustles and ideas that you can pursue in the Order of Pillars. So join the Order of Pillars. And yeah, we'll see you in the next video. I don't know what the topic will be yet. It'll be a surprise. But yeah, we'll catch you in the next video.